Hey guys, so today me and Kevin are going to be talking about the different types of heat illnesses and their signs and symptoms, how to prevent them, and how to treat them. So let's get started.
Heat and physical activity. Before physical activity, 17 to 20 ounces 2 to 3 hours before activity is what you want to consume. Consume another 7 to 10 ounces after the warm-up. In fact, 10 to 15 minutes before physical activity. During physical activity, drink approximately 28 to 40 ounces every hour of physical activity. An example, 7 to 10 ounces every 10 to 15 minutes. Rapidly replace lost fluids. An example, sweat and urine within 2 hours after activity to enhance recovery by drinking 20 to 24 ounces for every pound of body weight lost through sweating.
So you're probably wondering, what is heat illness or heat-related illness? Well, it's a spectrum of disorder due to environmental exposure to heat. It includes minor and severe conditions. The more minor conditions are your heat cramps, heat syncope, and heat exhaustion, and the more severe is your heat stroke. When your body has a large loss of electrolytes and water through exercise, it usually results in painful muscular spasms. They're usually in the arms, legs, or abdominal area, and it's during or after intense physical activity. This is known as your heat cramp. When this happens, you want to make sure you rest in a cool, shaded area, drink plenty of cool water, and sports drinks like Gatorade to replenish the lost electrolytes. In order to prevent this, you also want to make sure to hydrate prior to and during any activities in a hot environment. Heat exhaustion occurs when your body overheats in response to external factors like high temperatures. It is a loss of essential fluids that can disturb circulation and interference with brain function. Usually people with heart, lung, or kidney problems are more susceptible to heat exhaustion. Signs of heat exhaustion include cool and moist skin, dizziness, feeling faint, and excessive sweating. In order to treat this, you want to drink plenty of fluids, remove any tight and unnecessary clothes, apply cooling measures like ice towels or fans, and you want to make sure to take a cool shower or bath.
Thank you, Melissa, for sharing with us what you know about the awareness of different types of heat injuries. Now I'm going to discuss with you how heat affects your body and how to rehydrate yourself adequately. First, we have heat syncope. It's a mild form of heat illness, also known as orthostatic dizziness. Refers to a fainting episode experienced in high environmental temperatures, such as the South or more heat-predominant countries like Brazil, Venezuela. Some of the causes of this are peripheral vasodilation and pooling of venous blood, hypotension, and hypohydration. Signs and symptoms of heat syncope is lightheadedness, syncope itself, mostly in upright position during rest or activity, pallor, or high rectal temperature. Prevention methods for this is ensure acclimatization and fluid replenishment, reduce exertion on hot days, and avoid standing for long periods of time.
Now, the first three illnesses we talked about were minor, but the most severe is a heat stroke. It is a true medical emergency. It can be fatal if it is not treated properly. It is heat stress maladies, reflecting failure of heat regulating mechanisms from high excessive temperatures. Signs of this include lack of sweating, hot red or flushed skin, and neurological deficit. When this happens, make sure to bring the person to a cool, shaded area, apply cooling measures, spray them with cold water, and place ice packs underneath their armpits and in the groin area until medical help arrives. In order to prevent this, drink plenty of fluids, wear loose clothing, and take it easy on your activities until you get acclimated. Okay. Your bodily functions depend on blood circulation and many chemical reactions that occur best at about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. 3/4 of the energy you convert for physical work turns into heat and only 1/4 into motion. When your body is active, it usually generates more heat than it needs to and therefore has to release some. So the harder you work, the faster you generate the heat and the more your body has to get rid of. Hot weather and high humidity increase your risk by slowing the transfer of heat to the air around you.
Now we have your core temperature, which is your body's temperature from the waist all the way up to the head. Heat generated by active muscle can increase core temperatures to fever levels that would incapacitate a person if they were caused by external heat stress alone. With this being said, basically from your activity itself, the muscles in your body, in your core, whatever activity you're doing, you're creating more heat than what your body can actually handle. And this is why hydration is so important, because it helps bring down that heat fast through sweating. So core temperature increases in proportion to intensity of effort. Like I said, more than likely, a modest core temperature increase reflects favorable internal adjustments that create an optimal thermal environment for physiological and metabolic functions. Intense sweating for several hours can induce sweat glands, fatigue, and impair core temperature regulation. And like I said earlier, with your core temperature rising from working out, your sweating helps relieve all that heat so your body doesn't overload. But if you're dehydrated, your sweat glands fatigue, and what then happens is you're not producing the sweat that you need to dissipate that energy, which overall will cause your body to go into overload. Next, we have heat acclimatization, described as the improved heat tolerance for individuals from collective physiological adaptive changes. 2 to 4 hours daily of heat with physical activity produce essential complete acclimatization after 10 days. In practical terms, the first several activity sessions should be light in intensity and last about 15 to 20 minutes. More effective cardiac output distribution maintains blood pressure during physical activity. A lower threshold of or earlier sweating onset complements the circulatory acclimatization. These responses initiate cooling before internal temperature increases substantially. Following 10 days of heat exposure, sweating capacity nearly doubles and sweat dilutes with fewer electrolytes lost and more even distribution to the skin surface to facilitate greater cooling. Means you're sweating, it's gonna dilute the heat. The sweat itself allows you to disperse the heat amongst it rather than holding it in. Unfortunately, major benefits of acclimatization in hot environments dissipate within 2 to 3 weeks following return to more temperate climates, which means when a football team comes down, they get acclimated to the weather to perform down here in the south. They come, they get used to it. As soon as they go back home, after 2 weeks of being home or going to the next area in the region where they're going to play, whatever positives they gained body-wise, physiological-wise, down in the south, when they come back to play, they're going to have to reacclimate themselves all over again. And now let's talk about dehydration. Dehydration is induced 2 to 3 hours of intense physical effort, and the heat often reaches levels that impede heat dissipation, and several compromises cardiovascular function and performance capacity. Hot, humid environments impede the effectiveness of evaporative cooling from high ambient air vapor pressures. With such environments promoting large fluid loss, excess sweating in these harsh environments promote little cooling because minimal evaporation takes place. So with that being said, is because of the humidity in the air, it's not allowing the sweat to actually work. So any degree of dehydration can impair physiological function and thermal regulation. 7 factors affect sweat loss dehydration: activity intensity, activity duration, environmental temperature, solar load, wind speed, and relative humidity. And these 7 factors are your main things that you want to look at when trying to conduct any physical activity outside, even indoors sometimes, because dehydration has to deal with the fluid loss in your body. Not so much just the heat, but more how many fluids you're intaking properly and adequately to replace the fluids through physical activity. Okay. Now let's talk about rehydration. Properly scheduling fluid replacement maintains plasma volume so that circulation and sweating progress optimally. This is very hard to understand because it goes against the old school saying that water consumption hinders a player's performance, also makes them cramp during the game. A well-hydrated athlete always functions at a higher physiological and performance level than a dehydrated one. Now we all have that one coach who's like, don't get water right now, you can wait till after practice because you're gonna cramp up. Or even in a game situation, hey coach, I need a water break. No, you're gonna cramp, we need you to score, we need you to score. Well, it doesn't always work like that. That's why there's proper ways to replenish fluids during game, during practice, after practice, and even before practice or before any type of physical activity. And I will go over that. Partitioning rehydration periods into 10 to 15 minute intervals allows one to maintain optimal stomach volume and properly match fluid loss with fluid intake. Athletes in most sports should rehydrate on a regular schedule because the thirst mechanism imprecisely gauges the body's water needs.